Since its discovery in the earliest days of interstellar civilization, the Citadel was the axis on which the history of the galaxy turned. Strategically located at the junction of a number of mass relays, this megastructure naturally cemented itself as the foremost center of commerce, politics, and scientific endeavor. But the discovery of this station and its role in the galactic community was not an accident. It had been preordained. The Citadel was in fact a lure, a carefully designed piece of bait, meant to ensure that interstellar civilization developed along certain paths. It was the keystone in a cycle of genocide and extinction. The architects of this cycle, the mass relays, and the Citadel itself were the Reapers, an infinitely ancient race of machine starships. For millennia, they would lie dormant in the vast deep space between galaxies, but every 50,000 years, when interstellar civilization reached its natural apex, they would reveal themselves. The extermination of all sentient life in the galaxy would follow, and then the cycle would begin anew. How many times this series of events repeated itself will be forever unknowable, but the method in which they proceeded was always the same. A lone Reaper, left behind somewhere in the galaxy as the vanguard of its race, would transmit a signal and activate the hidden nature of the Citadel. The entire station would be transformed into a mass relay, and the path to deep space would be opened. Overwhelmed by Reapers that had bypassed all defenses, the center of galactic civilization would be the first to fall. Without centralized authority, further resistance across the galaxy would invariably be scattered and ineffectual. In the year 2183 of the Common Era, this cycle was set to begin anew. A galactic community known as the Citadel Council had developed along the lines desired by the Reapers, but for perhaps the only time in their immeasurable history, events did not progress along their bloody path. A new element had emerged, a legendary figure who was amongst the first to realize that the war against the Reapers had begun, and the opening engagement was the Battle of the Citadel. Yet, the prelude to this engagement lay in the final acts of the Protheans, the antecedent civilization driven to extinction by the Reapers 50,000 years before. Unable to survive themselves, a collection of their greatest surviving scientists found the means by which the signal intended to activate the Citadel might be blocked. Unless a Reaper interacted with the Citadel directly, a portal to deep space could never be opened. Discovering how the Protheans had managed to prevent the activation of the Citadel became the overriding directive of Sovereign, the Reaper entity left as vanguard in the Milky Way. For years, it had attempted to activate the Citadel, and while enormously powerful, was unwilling to expose its existence and risk destruction in any attempt to discover why these attempts had failed. Instead, it worked covertly, using a manipulative energy field to indoctrinate those it deemed useful. By the time Sovereign realized that the Citadel itself remained functional, and only its signal was blocked, it had acquired the necessary tools it needed to mount an attack on the most fortified location in the galaxy. Among Sovereign's greatest assets was Saren, an agent of the Citadel Council granted near unlimited freedom of action, and a faction of the Geth, sentient machines who had come to recognize the Reaper as a god. To activate the Citadel and open the path to deep space, Sovereign needed only to dock with its inner spiral. Its plan was therefore relatively straightforward. Sovereign, accompanied by an enormous force of Geth warships, would enter the Serpent Nebula, a thick miasma of gas clouds and dust fields in which the Citadel was located. Once hidden within the nebula, Saren, having infiltrated the Citadel itself, would deactivate the surrounding mass relays, preventing any reinforcements from arriving. The Geth would engage and destroy any elements of the Citadel fleet that might be present, while Sovereign itself would bypass the fighting and dock with the station. Though wholly ignorant of Sovereign's existence and the full extent of the Geth's forces, the Citadel was hardly defenseless. As befit its role as galactic capital, the station was permanently defended by a capable garrison from the Citadel fleet. Its warships were drawn principally from the Asari Republics, Solarian Union, and the Taurian Hierarchy, the three most powerful interstellar states, and the leading members of the Citadel Council. The famously martial Turians contributed a disproportionate number of these warships, but the Asari Dreadnought, Destiny Ascension, represented the most formidable vessel within the Citadel fleet. The station itself was also capable of retracting its arms, enclosing its more vulnerable sections within a far more armored shell. By the outset of Sovereign's attack, however, the effectiveness of both of these elements had been mitigated. Saren's deception and relationship with the Geth had been exposed, but acting under the mistaken belief that this rogue agent would never attack the Citadel directly, its defensive fleet was mobilized and deployed away from the station. Only the Destiny Ascension and a comparatively smaller force of Citadel warships remained. Likewise, any attempt to close the Citadel arms would unintentionally play into Sovereign's plans, so long as it could make contact with the station before they did so. When the attack on the Citadel commenced, the battle immediately developed precisely as Sovereign had anticipated. Despite being stripped of his status and hunted by every law enforcement agency in the galaxy, Saren's infiltration of the Citadel had succeeded, and the surrounding mass relays were deactivated. Now completely cut off, the Citadel fleet remained entirely unaware that an enemy force was present, up until the first shots were fired upon them. The attacking forces had achieved complete surprise. Striking from the cover of the nebula, the Geth Armada quickly inflicted punishing losses on the Citadel fleet. Their opening volley was especially successful, destroying or rendering combat ineffective many of the Taurians' largest warships. Citadel fighter squadrons attempted to engage Sovereign, believing it to be a Geth dreadnought, but were completely unable to penetrate its kinetic barriers. Amid sustained losses, the defending forces quickly lost their cohesion, and Sovereign was able to smash directly through the engagement zone, completely unscathed. It docked with the Citadel, just as its protective arms closed around it. Still entirely ignorant as to the nature of the threat arrayed against them, and cut off from any reinforcements, the Citadel Council attempted to evacuate its highest representatives aboard the Destiny Ascension. In doing so, however, the Citadel fleet's most capable dreadnought was no longer able to engage the Geth on as favorable terms as could be created, and was instead forced to withdraw from the battle. The Geth quickly capitalized on this maneuver, inflicting further damage on its surviving escorts before pursuing the Destiny Ascension itself. While the complete destruction of the Citadel fleet and the death of the Council appeared imminent, the course of events of the station itself had begun reversing Sovereign's plans. Commander Shepard, a Spectre charged with hunting down Saren, had also infiltrated the Citadel. They successfully reactivated the surrounding mass relays and opened the protective arms. Forewarned by Shepard of the danger Sovereign posed, the Systems Alliance 5th Fleet had positioned itself in the neighboring Andorra sector and was poised to make a decisive intervention into the battle. As the only active Alliance asset aware of the disposition and intention of the attacking forces, Commander Shepard was tasked with directing the principal focus of this counterattack. Subsequent galactic events have left the course of the Battle of the Citadel confused and contradictory. Competing accounts have since offered two distinct versions of how the engagement came to a close. The first contends that Shepard ordered the Alliance fleet to bypass the Destiny Ascension entirely and instead focus its efforts on destroying Sovereign. The Geth forces, still preoccupied with routing the last of the Citadel fleet, were caught out of position and could not intercept the Alliance reinforcements. As the last escorts of the Citadel fleet were destroyed, the Destiny Ascension was lost with all hands soon thereafter. It is alternatively claimed that the Systems Alliance acted to save the Council, diverting its forces away from the Citadel and towards the ongoing battle. In an aggressive attack that ironically replicated the maneuvers of the Geth's own initial strike, it delivered a devastating volley and cleared the path for the Destiny Ascension and its escorts. The maneuver came at great cost, however, with the Alliance suffering severe losses to the Geth's own counterfire. Regardless of how this phase of the engagement played out, the Alliance fleet ultimately broke through into the Citadel and attacked Sovereign directly. Though the Alliance suffered tremendous losses, the intervention of Commander Shepard again provided a critical opening, briefly lowering Sovereign's kinetic barriers and giving the fleet the opportunity it needed. Under sustained bombardment from hundreds of warships, Sovereign was destroyed. Its connection with the Citadel was severed, and the arrival of the Reapers delayed. Though its specifics remain ambiguous, the Battle of the Citadel undoubtedly had a profound effect on the galactic community. Skepticism would remain as to the nature of Sovereign and the existence of the Reapers, but the efforts to uncover the truth were validated. That some profound threat existed could not be denied entirely. This would translate in the immediate aftermath to a renewed focus on combating the Geth. But the battle also elevated the standing of the system's alliance, cementing it as a first-rate military power. The intervention of its fleet and the influence of the first human Spectre during the battle underscored the Alliance's enormous potential in galactic affairs, and led directly to its government being offered a seat on the Citadel Council. But above all, the Battle of the Citadel drew the attention of the Reapers towards the human race, and ensured that when they did arrive in force, Earth would be amongst their first targets.
In High Command, the Templin Institute investigates the greatest battles, conflicts, and wars from across alternate worlds. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to join the Templin Institute, consider pledging to our Patreon page. Along with increased security access, you'll be able to vote in polls to determine future topics, get custom wallpaper every week, and receive some other exclusive rewards.
I'm Commander Shepard, and I have no strong opinions regarding the Templin Institute one way or the other.